What is the funniest shit that you saw at school? Kid smashed the window of his mom's car as she pulled in to pick him up. Unlucky cricket hit, I believe. The next day, he denied it ever happened. Now, this would be believable had his mom not have put Glad wrap in the place where the window once was. This kid pulls up in his mom's car and we all come to ask him about his high-tech glass. He says something along the lines of, "Nah, this is just a refit from the dealer," and proceeds to roll down the window, sucking the Glad wrap into the mechanism and further damaging the car. Pretty sure he had gotten something else from the dealer. Freshman year, there was a vegetarian kid who sat at my lunch table. One day for lunch, he wanted to eat but just wanted his lunch without the meat, which they could have easily done for him. The lunch lady refused to do it, so he jumped over the counter, got it himself, jumped back over and slammed his money down by the register before walking out of the cafeteria. My friends and I started a food fight, mostly with baby carrots. Some kid got hit in the head as he was just walking by. He cried in front of everyone in the cafe. We had this super athletic Jamaican guy in our school. Belonged in the Olympics. He went to jump over the shortest guy in my gym class but jumped a little late. All I need to tell you is that the short guy ran away yelling, "I felt his balls on my face." This same guy loved playing dodgeball and always loved trying to hit the pretty girls who hid in the back corner and talked during the co-ed games. I had a woodshop teacher named Mr. Woodley. Setting, high school, end of lunch. I go to the furthest stall, open it, and look down at disbelief. There is a turd the thickness of a soda can, about 16 long, perfectly centered in the toilet. There is no paper, skid marks or any other signs of disturbance. I immediately run out to my friends in giddy excitement. "You have to see this turd." Conversations start about the origin. Was it the fat kid that didn't shit for a week? Did someone craft this monster with smaller turds? The bell rings, and I have to go to art class. The janitor was making his rounds and is muttering to himself while passing through the class, "It just wouldn't flush, not even with a plunger." I had a pic of it on an old flip phone. I'll try and find it. First day of the new school year. Couple of years ago we walk into our social studies class and saw our new teacher. She was probs in her mid-20s, incredibly hot, hands down hottest teacher in my school's history. She introduces herself, and then leaves to go to the bathroom. As she is walking out the door, one kid, who didn't see that she wasn't out of earshot, yelled, "She's so hot, oh my god." Some kid that thought he was good at every sport went out to bat in baseball during PE and he missed twice and then someone caught his ball. The next kid up had Down syndrome, which doesn't limit how he could play, but it just meant he was more jittery. He hit it way further than the other kid who thought he was great at everything, and that kid was so pissed about it. It may not be as funny as some others, but it was mostly funny because the narcissistic kid was a jerk. We once did an anti-drug play for the grade 8 students as an assessment for drama. We thought it would be good if it could look as realistic as possible, so we had our friend snort sherbet as cocaine. Except we didn't rehearse it and it turns out sherbet burns. So in the middle of this play about drugs, our friend snorts the sherbet and starts losing his mind with pain, rolling around screaming and crying and swearing, and all these 12-year-olds in the audience are either laughing at him or crying out of genuine fear. It was amazing. I have a couple. 1. Females teachers had to pull kids keeping the boys' bathrooms out. 2. A guy in the lunchroom making a speech saying guns don't kill people, people kill people with guns. Everyone clapped and the lunch ladies tried to stop it. 3. I did not see this but heard it. Some 8th graders in my middle school brought a coconut into a school and a group of them smashed it on the floor and flushed it down the toilet and they broke it. 4. In the locker room a kid brought a glass bottle of cologne and dropped it, glass everywhere, and it smelled for a week. The next day everyone in there started moaning very loud, after we got in trouble. 5. A kid body checked another kid because he was poking him. 6. Some kids took craps in all the toilets including urinals, then smeared crap all over the walls. 7. A kid kicked a table so much that it broke. 8. We were doing relays or something and a kid pushed someone else and then the kid punched him in the face and then got in a face. 9. A kid tripped and did not fall but acted like he broke his leg and got picked up and taken to the nurse. Someone at my primary school decided to do a presentation in assembly. Keep in mind, in front of the entire year group, his presentation was about why the school should let us leave early. His main point was we don't learn anything anyways, so why should they keep us there when we could be having fun? Doesn't seem that fun now, but keep in mind I was in year 5, so this was absolutely hilarious. Some kid at my school dressed up as a giant penis for Halloween one year. When publicly confronted by school authorities, he adamantly argued that he was dressed as a rocket ship and that they need to get their minds out of the gutters. At one point during the argument, the teacher asked a random kid nearby what the offending student was dressed in, trying to prove his point that it was a penis. The student deadpan replied, "A rocket ship, sir." It's so nice to see students supporting the sciences, which of course lead to snickers and a chorus of other kids chiming in about what a nice spaceship it was. The mixture of annoyance and amusement on the teacher's face was priceless. One day in science, in a girls' school, we were watching my teacher do an experiment where she put soap in her hands and had a student put fire on it. Well, one of my friends, who laughs at everything, and I mean everything, like if sit down she laughs, stood up on her chair, which didn't have a back and had holes designed in it, and yelled "Fire, fire," while everyone was screaming at the fire. Well, she ended up falling off her chair and got a lace in her shoes stuck in one of the holes. I don't even know how. To this day I still bring it up and laugh at it all the time. Sixth formers who owned a car, UK equivalent to junior and senior years of high school, were given a limited amount of places to park in. The rest of the parking spots were allocated to staff. But generally it wasn't enforced, and so sixth formers used to park in the staff spaces if all the parking places allocated to sixth form students were full. Now, on that particular morning, the car park was full of cars and there were no spaces left, not even in the staff spaces. So this guy actually parked his car on a pavement lawn, outside some houses. Amusingly, the sixth form team were getting complaints from local residents, so one of the teachers went out to investigate, and this car was on a pavement lawn outside. So all sixth form students got an email and a picture of how the guy had parked his car, which said an example of how not to park. To whomever owns this car, please move it. I was in an IT lesson at the time and I could not stop laughing for a good few minutes once I saw that email. It was just hilarious. Edit, just by coincidence, I was going through some old photos on my laptop just now, and I found the image of the car being parked. Sorry if my description of it was a bit unclear, but it's easier to see what I mean if you see the photo. We were being taught how to rewire plugs in science. All the components were laid out on our tables before we entered the room, and we were following our science teacher's instructions. The wires were cut and they were not connected to anything. One of the girls in our class plugged her plug into the desk socket and flipped the switch as soon as she was done to check if the plug worked, and there was a loud bang followed by a strong smell of an electrical fire, and our teacher immediately ran over with a Class C fire extinguisher and dealt with the issue, but both the girl and her lab partner had singed hair and eyebrows and had earache for the rest of the week. There was also the room that huge shit in the boys' toilets that was the size of a Pringles can standing up on its end. Some people saw it when it was there, and a Polaroid photo was taken that a guy in the year above was selling for 50p a look. In high school we had a massive, planned food fight that was hyped up for like 2 weeks. I saw one kid who was always pretty clumsy and awkward get sprayed by a pudding cup that landed on the table in front of him and splatter all over his body. I threw a full PB&J sandwich sidearm like a frisbee and nailed this girl in the face. In middle school, this one kid who had some special needs had to do a small presentation in front of the class, and he was wearing sweatpants. He somehow got a boner halfway through and it was blatantly obvious. I felt bad for him at the time, but looking back it was pretty funny. He didn't seem to give a fuck though. Kid in my primary school class, we were all about 11, did a few things, so I shall list most/all of them. 1. Sang Shape of You by Ed Sheeran to a girl during a school dance, then, after being rejected in front of the whole school, flirted with 2 other girls. 2. Brought in a Nerf gun during school hours and ran around shooting teachers and other students, causing our class to board up our main door. I would like to mention we had to board up our door multiple times because of him. 3. Pulled one of my friends' male trousers down in the middle of our school field. Bonus, he was round my brother's friends, calling him H. House. My brother then proceeded to call H. Then, he found out I was there as well, proceeding to take his shirt off and flirt with me. He was a pretty obese child. I couldn't deal with the cringe. Someone ripped a soap dispenser out of the wall in the boys' locker room. It was held onto the wall by 2 big nail things coming out the back, and shoved it high up on a completely different wall crooked. It stayed there for a few weeks. Also, people often flooded the bathrooms and ripped stall doors off. I think about this often. Freshman year of high school we had a substitute teacher for math who was super old. He was everyone's favorite because he would fall asleep more often than not. The class clown, Jezreel, was in my class, first hour algebra A. He decided it was the perfect time to start jumping on top of the desks and hissing at everyone. He then proceeded to dive out the open window from the desk and got stuck but managed an escape. What a memory. Year 6, my friend didn't want his pizza and wanted to throw it out, then another friend tells him not to, then decides to throw the pizza onto the street to feed the birds who we were having dumb conversations with. After the birds were gone, a ute drove by and ran over the pizza, sending it 4 feet into the air, and it made a beautiful sound. It was so hilarious at the time. 11/10.